The sun had changed, but not every world answered the crisis the same way. On Earth, life simply continued. Preparation had become Earth's greatest advantage. Some people solved today's problems. Others prepared for tomorrow's. One report immediately stood apart from the rest. Steel, concrete, machinery. The numbers kept growing. Questions often arrived long before answers. Mars had not asked for emergency aid. It had asked for materials. Every month, the requests became larger. The pattern had become impossible to ignore. Someone else had noticed the same pattern years earlier. The busiest route in human history no longer carried settlers. It carried an entire civilization. Some answers could never be understood from a spreadsheet. History often looked very different from a distance. Mars had become the largest construction site humanity had ever created. Nothing was being wasted. Not everything being built could be seen from above. Mars had stopped fighting its environment. Instead, humanity chose to adapt to it. Hospitals followed, transit followed. Eventually, life followed. Mars had not abandoned the surface. It had simply chosen a different future. Every civilization is defined by the decisions it makes during its hardest years, and Mars was only getting started. Not every project was built beneath Mars. Some projects were built for the future. History rarely announces the moment everything begins to change. For most people, it begins at home. Across Mars, thousands quietly packed their lives into boxes. Some carried excitement, others carried doubt. Every home carried memories. None of them fit inside a moving box. Leaving wasn't the difficult part. Knowing you might never return was. They thought they were one family moving. They discovered an entire neighborhood was leaving together. One family became dozens. Dozens became hundreds. Some goodbyes lasted a lifetime. Nobody knew which ones. The future wasn't waiting, it was already moving. Street by street. Mars began changing forever. The destination was familiar. What waited beneath it was not. Nobody arrived alone. Entire communities came together. Teachers waited beside students, doctors beside patients. The migration wasn't chaotic, it had been planned for years. Every great journey begins with uncertainty. This one was no different. The next step lasted only minutes. Its consequences would last generations. No one knew exactly what waited below. Everyone hoped it would be worth leaving home. For many, this would be their final view of the surface. The journey downward was surprisingly quiet. Almost nobody spoke. Every family carried the same question. Would this really become home? Then, the darkness ended. Nobody expected a city. They found one anyway. Years of construction had remained hidden. Now everything appeared at once. The first surprise wasn't the buildings. It was the color. Mars had learned an old lesson. People need more than walls. Life wasn't waiting to begin, it was already happening. One journey was ending, another was just beginning. Thousands arrived every day. The city kept making room. Nobody looked like refugees, they looked like neighbors. Curiosity quietly replaced fear. The promise was beginning to make sense. The hardest part was over. Home was waiting just ahead. For the first time, the future had an address. Every family had a place waiting. Nobody arrived without a home. They expected concrete. Instead, they found life. The loudest sound wasn't machinery. It was laughter. Fear rarely disappeared all at once. Sometimes it simply forgot to return. Friendships formed faster than tunnels. That surprised everyone. Promises become believable. The moment children stop looking back. The city never stopped growing. Neither did its people. Schools didn't move underground, the future did. Soon, every ordinary day became wonderfully ordinary again. A civilization isn't built by buildings. It's built by people choosing to stay. The view changed. The dream remained the same. Mars had stopped fighting its environment. It had learned to live with it. Home isn't defined by the sky above. It's defined by the life around you. The descent was never humanity's greatest challenge. Belonging was. 12 years passed. Earth continued to change. So did the people leading it. While Mars transformed beneath its surface, Earth never stopped preparing. 12 years had reshaped more than skylines. Responsibilities had changed as well. Some promises required more than time. They required successors. The sun had continued changing. Earth adapted in its own way. The decision hadn't been made for security. It had been made for reliability. Even Earth's infrastructure had begun adapting to an increasingly uncertain sun. What began as a research project had slowly become something far larger. Every new challenge demanded another solution, then another. Some projects eventually outgrew their own blueprints. The deeper they went, the more obvious it became. This facility had never stopped growing. Thousands of engineers, scientists, technicians had quietly spent more than a decade preparing for this day. What appeared enormous was only the beginning. Earth hadn't been standing still. It had been preparing. Everything beneath Earth had been built around a single destination. The project had outgrown its original mission. Every year, it demanded more power, more people, more imagination. No single discipline could build something like this: physics, engineering, materials, science, artificial intelligence. Every breakthrough depended on another. The processors generated unimaginable amounts of heat. Keeping them cold became an engineering discipline of its own. Thousands of systems eventually converged, not by coincidence, by design. History often remembered the invention, rarely the thousands of people who made it possible. For 12 years, the facility had been preparing for one procedure. Experience never removed responsibility. It only taught people how to carry it. The procedure began quietly, exactly as it had been designed. One by one, systems that had waited for years finally awakened. The activation had begun, exactly as it had been designed to. Every subsystem answered. Every response matched the simulation. The greatest engineering achievements often looked surprisingly ordinary. One designation appeared only briefly. The system wasn't loading data, it was assembling someone. Layer by layer, the intelligence gave itself form. The first words were neither a warning nor a command. No one had programmed a face, yet one had appeared. Humanity had built its most powerful intelligence. For the first time, it was waiting for humanity.